Hello students, here we are with simple past tense review. I hope this material helped you to understand better and to do some more practice to improve in using this verbal tense. In this slide we have a list of verbs that are considered some of the most common ones in English, and I want to notice pay attention in this one because remember that in simple present tense we use do and does in order to express affirmative, negative, and interrogative statements. Now, the verb that is going to help us with other verbs in simple past tense is going to be did. This time we are going to use it as an auxiliary in simple past tense in order to do affirmative, negative, and interrogative statements, okay? As a comparison, we can see the change between simple present and simple past tense. For example, she lives in Veracruz, but in past tense we don't have any more third person singular. We have the verb in simple past tense. So we say here, she lived in Veracruz. He drinks coffee. He drank coffee yesterday. Also, pay attention on the time expression that we are using in past tense. We have to talk in past. He drank coffee yesterday. Let's start by regular verbs ed ending. Regular verbs end in ed. Well, we have three different cases. How this works, let's see. Change the pointer. I prefer this, I like it more. Okay, in case number one, it's when we just add ed with no other change or precaution, just the verb permit to add ed and that's all. Example, work, worked, answer, answered. Okay. Also, we have to be aware of pronunciation. By the way, I mentioned one answered and worked, and there is a difference in here. Why? Because remember that all the verbs that end with that voiceless sound like k, k, the sound with ed is like a T in English. Remember the T in English. We're going to see that, don't worry. Work, worked. In this case, answer, the R is not a voiceless sound. The R permits the air through your nose and phonic parts of your mouth, and that means that it's not voiceless. This is a voiced sound. Es un sonido que se escucha. Este es un sonido que no se escucha. For that reason, the sound in here is going to be the sound in English. Answer, answered. Okay, well, let's go with case number two. Case number two tells us about a consonant before a Y. When you have a consonant before a Y, the change for past tense adding ed, you change Y by an I. Example, study, we have a consonant and then Y for studied. Y changes into an I. Try, tried. But if you have a vowel plus a Y, nothing happens, just add ed and no change for the Y. Stay, stayed. Fine. In case number three, we had when you add extra syllable One verb ends in T or in D sound. Example, invite. When you say invite, you have two syllables mentioned here. Invite, okay? But when you convert it into simple past tense, you have three syllables. Invited, all right? The same happens to need. With need, it's only one syllable verb, need. When you add ed, then another syllable appear. Needed, needed. Invited, needed. You see? Okay. Regular verbs end in ed. With pronunciation, we have to be careful. For example, pronunciation with the D sound. Voice consonant sound ending, vowel sound ending. Example, like arrive, arrived. We have arrive like a vowel sound ending. Arrive, arrived. Dream, dreamed. Dream, dreamed. Okay. Pronunciation with T at the end, we have voiceless consonant sound. Like I mentioned a moment ago, work, worked. Stopped, stopped. We say stop and P as well as K. Close the air going through your mouth, let's say. Because you have to close the air going through your mouth. Work, stop. Then at the moment of ed, sounds like a T sound. Worked, stopped. Okay. Now, the pronunciation with the extra syllable, it says like when verbs end in T or D sound like this one. Well, this is the pronunciation, like more evident. Invite, invited. Need, needed. The one that we have just mentioned. Now, auxiliary verb, simple past tense, other verbs. Past of do. Past of do, did in affirmative or didn't in negative. Regular verbs end in ed. Affirmative, how it works? Well, we're going to follow the rules I mentioned a moment ago too. I studied hard last night. This is an affirmative sentence where you have to use the verb, the main verb, in simple past tense. What happened in negative? Well, let's see. In negative, this happens. I didn't study hard last night. Well, when you have the auxiliary didn't as negative sentence, the main verb remains in infinitive with no change. And let's see the interrogative example. This is a yes/no question. Let's see. Did you study hard last night? Well, when you have a question, the auxiliary is going to appear. If you have the auxiliary in the question, the main verb remains in infinitive with no change at all. So, did you study hard last night? Yes, I did. No, I didn't. Let's do some practice. This part is the one that you need to practice by your own. Obviously, you need to check all the explanation, the previous explanation in the book and in this presentation. And I hope you do just fine. Please, one note in here. Por favor, cuando llenen ustedes los espacios vacíos, póngale un color diferente de letra para que se note qué es lo que ustedes están agregando en este cuadro, ¿sale? Por favor. Let's continue with the second part. Simple past tense, verb to be, was, wasn't, were, weren't. Simple past tense to be. In this chart, you can see all the personal pronouns with the right form of past tense of be, was and were. I was, you were, he was, she was, it was, we were, you were, they were. We can then mention that I can say that I wasn't, you weren't, he, she, it wasn't, we, you, they weren't. Okay, and the past tense of be, we have some examples, changing affirmative, negative, interrogative. Remember that verb be itself doesn't need any help to do affirmative, negative, and interrogative statements. And here you have some examples. For example, I was at home late, or I wasn't at home late, or were you at home late? Yes, I was. No, I wasn't. They were alone yesterday. They weren't alone yesterday. Were they alone yesterday? Yes, they were. No, they weren't. Sometimes you can add in time expression in past tense like yesterday. Let's do some practice.